With eCoin equal to $1, it'll free up the economy.
The only reason why you're here first is because you don't want to get slapped with regulations. But if you are indeed asking, then I am saying no. It's unconstitutional. You can't make your own currency. That is the federal government's job.
The problem here is hard cash is fading rapidly. That's just the way of the world right now. And Bitcoin is spreading. And if Bitcoin takes over, we are all in a world of hell. With eCoin, we control the ledger and the mining servers. We are the authority. I will make sure you have visibility into every single wallet that's open, every loan, every transaction, which means we can start making new assets, which means we can start rebuilding the banking sector without your having to inject even more politically unpalatable federal funds into it. This is going to be controlled by a good old-fashioned American company. You want to regulate it? Be my guest. Regulate I'll give you back doors, side doors, tracing, whatever you want. Just don't shut it down.
In today's podcast episode, we will discuss part 2 of the FedNow Explained series. In this episode, we will discuss the implications such as how it will impact businesses and consumers, how we make and receive payments, and the associated risk and challenges. Hey everybody, welcome to the Build Young, Grow Wealthy podcast. My name is Walida Cherie, and I help busy professionals and entrepreneurs manage, protect, and grow their income to obtain financial freedom. Without further ado, let's get into this. So now we're going to transition into part 2, which is the implications of FedNow. And at this point, I want to discuss how FedNow will impact businesses and consumers. For businesses, FedNow will streamline payment processing, reduce transaction costs, and improve cash flow management. It will also provide faster access to funds, enabling businesses to respond quickly to changing customer needs. For consumers, FedNow will make sending and receiving money easier, pay bills, and manage finances in real time. Additionally, it will improve financial inclusion by providing faster access to funds for underbanked populations. Overall, FedNow is expected to revolutionize the payment industry and benefit businesses and consumers. Now let's talk about how it would change the way we make and receive payments. But before I do that, I want to first ask you, did you know that FedNow has been talked about since 2019? That's right, it's a surprise to the average consumer, but the big players have known about this for years.
Federal Reserve will develop the FedNow service, a real-time payment and settlement service for the future. Everyone deserves the same ability to make and receive payments immediately and securely, and every bank deserves the same opportunity to offer that service to its community. FedNow will permit banks of every size in every community across the country to provide real-time payments to their customers.
To learn more about how FedNow plans to change how we make and receive payments, be sure to check out part 1, then come back to this episode. Now let's take a deeper look into why the US may have decided to adopt the FedNow model. Check out this video that was released 7 years ago.
What's happening with real-time payments is that there are a lot of disruptors out there that are bringing near real-time payment solutions to the market. And what that means by near real-time is that they have figured out a way to emulate real-time in many cases, which means that to the consumer, it looks and feels like real-time. And sometimes that's really all you need, is that the consumer looks and feels like the transaction is occurring in real time. And what's starting to happen is that the disruptors are beginning to eat into the clients, and the usage of the bank customer are starting to move over to the disruptor applications and use those because they are more real time in many cases than the banks. And so the banks are actually potentially losing some of the transactions from their customer base. In many cases, they're not, in fact, making any revenue off of those transactions, but they're still losing potentially the experience of that customer going to their bank for their financial services needs. And therefore, what the implication is for that is that when the customer needs something down their personal value chain, like maybe an auto loan or a mortgage or something of that nature, where the bank does make money, that the consumer will not think of the bank as their first stop along their financial journey.
Now let's look at a brief timeline of countries that have adopted their own version of the FedNow payment system. In 2008, the UK's Faster Payment Service Network was implemented. It has seen significant growth year after year.
Pay.UK impacts almost every person and every business across the UK, sometimes several times a day. From paying salaries, to making charity donations, transferring money between friends, to paying your monthly bills, we're the ones who keep everything moving. Pay.UK plays a vital role in maintaining this critical national infrastructure. It's up to us to support the retail payments ecosystem, keeping it safe, secure, and fully operational day and night. It's crucial that our operations and infrastructure are maintained to the highest levels and that the standards created collaboratively with the wider industry are robust and resilient, giving our participants and their customers peace of mind with their retail payments services. In terms of the wider payments industry, we're the catalyst for innovation by ensuring our systems and standards are easily accessible. This work allows others to develop the useful and helpful new payment services that benefit many. By the work we do every day, providing services, guardianship, and enabling market innovation, Pay.UK is stimulating growth and development in the UK retail payments industry. Just part of the way we're helping to create a vibrant UK economy.
In 2012, Sweden's 6 largest banks launched their faster payment system called Sweden's Swish Payment System. In 2017, they created P27, which was the world's first cross-border payment system for countries including Denmark, Sweden, and Finland. Lastly, in 2020, Sweden was the first country not in the Eurozone to join TIPS, which is Europe's faster payment system. In 2014, Singapore's Association of Banks launched their faster payment program called Fast and Secure Transfer System, also known as FAST. It has experienced a significant growth since its inception. In 2016, India launched its pilot faster payment program called Unified Payments Interface Platform, which now sees about 1 billion transactions a month and is operated by the Reserve Bank of India.
PNB UPI app has made sending and receiving money convenient and simple.
All of this has been driven through a slew of government-initiated programs, especially the Digital India program and the adoption of digital payments. But the idea of digital payments really took root post-demonetization.
Back in 2016, the government declared the 500 rupee and 1000 rupee banknotes invalid. Citizens could hand in their old banknotes in exchange for new ones. It was done to try and curb black money, corruption, and the circulation of counterfeit notes.
Reliance also came out with their Jio product, which gave Indians unfettered access to the internet via very cheap data.
Around 2018, China implemented 2 types of faster payments, which are both closed-loop systems. But it is not ran by their government. Instead, they are operated by their 2 tech giants, Alibaba and Tencent.
Alipay actually is a very unique business model. It's a service that because the buyers does not trust the sellers does not trust the buyers. So we build up escrow services. The buyer wire the money to Alipay, and we will inform the sellers that we receive the money, please send the products. So the buyers see the product. If they're happy, we wire the money. Not happy, return the money, return the products. So when I started 80 years ago, everybody say, Jack, this is the most stupid model we've ever seen. Nobody would use it. And I say, I don't care whether this model is scientific, whether it's fancy looking or not. As long as it works, it helps build up the trust. Today, we have more than 900 million registered accounts.
On Alipay.
Alipay. Almost every young people on the street, you see people using Alipay.
In 2018, Australia launched this faster payment system called New Payments Platform, also known as NPP, which provides 24/7 access to its users. In November 2018, Europe also launched this 24/7 fast payment service called Target Instant Payment Settlement, also known as TIPS, and this is the program that I said that as of 2020, Sweden is now a part of. Now, beginning July 2023, the United States will release its faster payment system called FedNow. So, they say that anything that sounds too good to be true sometimes is too good to be true. Well, that may be the case with FedNow. Like all things, there are risks and challenges involved with the FedNow system, the number one thing being fraud. With traditional payments, you may receive an alert or a phone call from your financial institution asking if you authorized the payment that they deem suspicious. If you did not authorize the charge, the payment would either be blocked and your money would either be untouched or refunded if the fraud was discovered too late. With instant payments, because the transaction would be instant and irrevocable, it poses the problem of how a resolution could be made if fraud occurs.
Tax.
It was a high-tech bank robbery. Capital One suffering a massive hack attack involving
100 million Capital One customers' accounts
had their personal information stolen.
In March 2019, Capital One Bank was hacked.
A sole hacker managed to steal away 106 million people's personal details in a matter of days. And that attack was noticed just a few months after. You can see that a lot of companies are not very well protected yet against such threats. Pretty much every day we hear of data breaches, cyber attacks that are successful. It's much harder to prevent an attack than to be on the hacker side because you only need to succeed once as a hacker.
Here are some tips directly from the FedNow website to help both consumers and businesses combat fraud to protect their account. So if you're a consumer, this is the tips that they give for you. Never respond to suspicious emails, open attachments, or click on hyperlinks embedded in them. Check the sender's email address to note any irregularities by hovering the mouse over it. Adopt a zero-trust contact policy. Financial institutions will never ask for login information over the phone, email, or text. Use strong and unique passwords for different accounts. And lastly, enable alerts for transactions from your accounts. This allows you to keep an eye on your transactions. And while you're at it, verify your contact information with your financial institutions. Now here are the tips that they provide for businesses. Train the employees to verify the source of a request and any changes to payment accounts by using a known phone number for the requester. Implement dual approval for certain types of payments. This can introduce a pause and validation process before sending funds. Other risks and challenges include, number one, implementation costs. The implementation of FedNow will require significant investments from banks and financial institutions, which could lead to higher costs for consumers and businesses. Number two, potential for disruption. The introduction of a new payment system could cause disruption in the industry, which could lead to temporary issues for consumers and businesses. And number three, limited access. The FedNow service will only be available to banks in the United States, which could limit its usefulness for international transactions. The bottom line, FedNow is joining the global communities of faster payments. Because they aren't the first to launch this program, they have the benefit of learning what has worked and what has not worked with other countries. So, what are your thoughts about using faster payments through FedNow? Do you believe this convenience is worth the risk? Or are you comfortable with using faster payments like PayPal, Venmo, Zelle, etc., without the Federal Reserve possibly being able to see your every transaction? Be sure to leave me a comment, and that's all I have for now. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with your friends, and until next time, I will talk to you later.